Hey there, hockey fans. Nick Hart back again, and you guessed it. We've got another tier list for you, hockey fans out there, while we're all cooped up during these strange times amidst the coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak. Now, we've already done some videos here, some fun videos where we talked about old AHL hockey team logos, old NHL logos, old logos from all around the pro hockey sports landscape. And we had a lot of fun during those discussions, a lot of controversy, a little bit of debate mixed in. And there's no shame in having a little bit of debate in these tier list videos. And I'm sure today will be no different. But now we're shifting away from the world of hockey a little bit here. We're shifting away from hockey and instead doing a tier list on the very best dinner sides. That's right, the sides that you get with your meal of dinner. And unlike our tier list when we were talking about some of these great and sometimes bad old hockey logos, I'm a little bit more forgiving with my tiers right here because if I'm being completely honest, there's not much that I'm not going to eat. I am someone who rarely finds something that I'm going to turn my nose up at. At the very least, I'm going to try it. I wasn't always that way. I was a picky eater as a kid, but I have changed now as I have matured now in my older days, and as a result we can now look at our 5 tiers, and the best tier that you can be in for our dinner sides is elite, the very elite of dinner sides. Then you have delicious right here in the second tier, tasty in the middle. The fourth tier is won't turn it down. This is where I start to sour on things a little bit, but you know what, if I'm being honest, I'm still going to eat it and probably eat a lot of it if I have my way as well. But I won't turn it down, even though I might not be particularly excited about it. And the bottom tier is I'd prefer something else. You know what? I don't hate it. Once again, I'm probably still going to eat it, but I would definitely prefer something from any of the previous 4 tiers instead of whatever I put down here in the bottom tier. But this is much more forgiving and loose than perhaps our much more rigid criteria, rigid tiers in our logo tier list. Also, a little bit of caveats here on our criteria to be included in this list. We're just talking about dinner sides. And when I mean sides, I mean the thing that might actually come on the side of your meal. We're not talking about appetizers or small bites, things like that. Now, some of these things may actually cross over and also be appetizers, but you can see them sort of also come out with your actual meal next to a steak, next to a chicken, next to your burger, or what have you. We have a wide array of different sides here, but I sort of wanted to stay away from the strictly appetizers debate, even though, once again, many of these could be eaten as an appetizer, but something that is only an appetizer can't necessarily be a side. Do you follow me a little bit here? Also, taking out breakfast sides, things that you can get with breakfast, like a side of bacon, a side of sausage, home fries, hash browns. We kick those out just because we already have a lot of dinner sides here. So we're strictly talking about sides that you have at dinner for the time being. And lastly, ultimately, it all comes down to my opinion where I'm ranking these, but they're going to be ranked based on the taste, how much I actually enjoy them. I can't necessarily say I will dock certain food items points for having a lack of nutritional value, because we're being honest with each other, folks. The best sides all perhaps have the lowest nutritional value, but I may actually award certain sides for actually having a higher nutritional value, being a little bit healthier. So I'm not going to penalize them for being unhealthy, but it definitely might score you points to be both delicious and also good for you as well. We'll see how hungry I actually get during this too. As of recording, it's getting pretty close to dinner too, so I might work up quite an appetite in this discussion. But those are our tiers. That's our criteria. Now, let me shower you with some opinions that you did not ask for. We're now going to rank the very best dinner sides, and they'll fall into one of our 5 tiers: elite, delicious, tasty, won't turn it down, or I'd prefer something else. So where do we even start with a tier list like this? Where do you even start with all this smorgasbord that I have sitting in front of me right here? I have a lot of food items to get through, but I guess we'll start with something a little bit healthier, something green. We'll go with green beans. You can sometimes get green beans as a side with your meal. And let's see. A younger me would have definitely not been a fan of necessarily having green beans. I got turned on to them as I got older, and you know what? Green beans are actually something that go really well with a little bit of, you'd be surprised, maybe salad dressing or a little bit of vinegar and oil, and that can sort of improve it. Just on its own, just plain Jane green beans, I'd probably put it down. It won't turn it down. But because you can sort of mix it up and get a little creative with the presentation of your green beans, I'm putting them right in the middle. I think green beans are rather tasty, especially once again when you can throw in a little bit of seasoning or a dressing or a sauce. Far from elite, green beans, let's be honest here. But I'm going to put it in the middle tier. A cup of soup. Sometimes you can just get a cup of soup on the side of your meal. This is one of those things, once again, you might have a little bit of crossover between appetizers and sides, but you certainly can get a cup of soup on the side. We didn't get necessarily specific with the soups. We could do a tier list just completely ranking soups: tomato, chicken noodle, potato leek, bisques. I'm a big fan of lobster bisque, a crab bisque, a shrimp bisque. So where does soup belong? Do I grade it just based on the best soups, the soups that I enjoy the most? Because if so, it's definitely delicious. If it's more of the soups that I would pass on, not a big tomato soup kind of guy, fall down to I'd prefer something else. So how should I grade this? A little bit questionable here on our second food item here on this sides tier list ranking. I'm going to throw soup. I'm going to give soup a lot of credit because I think soup is delicious. The majority of soups are better than the bad soups. I'm also going to throw cup of soup in tasty. Also because of this, sometimes if you get too heavy of a soup, you can't actually enjoy your meal, or maybe the other sides that come with your meal too, and you end up boxing things up and taking them home. So cup of soup, I'm going to put right in the middle there along with green beans as a tasty side, but not necessarily an elite one. And maybe I backed myself into a corner there by making it so broad with cup of soup. Rice. Rice, a very common side staple, not just here in the United States, but worldwide. One of the most heavily consumed food items in the world is rice. And you have different kinds of rice: brown rice, jasmine rice, rice pilaf, and of course white rice. Big white rice guy. I love to get that when I get Chinese takeout or something of that nature. And rice is one of those things that you can eat aplenty. It's easy to prepare if you're cooking at home. And I can't really say I've ever had a bad side of rice. It's hard to screw up rice, and it's pretty good. And frankly, when it's done right, and sometimes when you're just really hungry or trying to refuel maybe after a workout or something, rice is really good. Rice can be delicious. It might be seen as vanilla or plain or generic because it is so widespread, so readily available around the world, but it's pretty darn good. I'm going to put rice in delicious for now. That might surprise a lot of people, but I'm a big fan of rice, big proponent of rice. I will also take this time to mention that, like our previous tier list videos, I'm not necessarily married to these rankings as we go. I might shuffle the deck the longer that we go on. Furthermore, I'm not actually ranking them within their tiers either. So I'm not saying green beans is better than cup of soup. I'm not saying rice is the #1 side in the second tier. It's just that I put it there first in terms of chronologically going through this long list of sides, not necessarily because I think rice is the #1 delicious side. Just wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way before moving on. Oh, okay. Mashed potatoes. Those that know me viewing this video already know that I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this one, but if you are perhaps unfamiliar with my food preferences and my palate, mashed potatoes is without a doubt an elite side, perhaps the most elite side. Nothing beats a good bowl of mashed potatoes, and at family meals, Thanksgiving, Christmas, things like that, I'm not stopping at just one side of mashed potatoes. I'm going back for seconds or thirds or fourths until I'm about to burst. But you go out to a restaurant or something like that, doesn't matter if it's a chain restaurant or some sort of 5-star exquisite cuisine, if you have mashed potatoes at the ready, I'm going to be looking at them, taking a very close look at the mashed potatoes, and probably going to pull the trigger on them too, and they're always delicious. Mashed potatoes is always a good call when trying to figure out what you want to have for dinner or what you want to have on the side of your dinner meal. Elite, without an absolute doubt. But mashed potatoes isn't the only way that you can prepare a potato as a side. So let's go ahead right now and run the potato gauntlet, because we have so many different kinds of potatoes and preparations of potatoes that let's dive right in right away. Here we have crinkle cut fries. We have a lot of different kind of fries because, believe it or not, folks, and I know a lot of you agree with me, but some of you might disagree, there's a big difference in the preparation style of fries. The cut, the way it's presented, it makes a difference. And where do crinkle cut fries belong? They look a little silly, that zigzag shape right there, but they're always thick. You get a good amount of potato in every single crinkle cut fry you eat. You're not going to get any shrimpy guys, not any slim ones, not any overly crispy fries. If you're perhaps a fan of very crispy fries, crinkle cut might not be the way to go. But as long as you cook them thoroughly and they're not too soggy, where they're sort of, you pick one up and it kind of flops over in your hand, as long as you get the proper stiffness to your crinkle cut fry, it's delicious. Absolutely delicious. No doubt about it on the crinkle cut fries. And as I said before, that is definitely not the only way that you can prepare your French fries. How about steak fries? I said crinkle cut fries are thick. They don't get thicker than this, ladies and gentlemen. That is the signature of the steak fry. Look at it right there. Just almost an inch and a half thick, long steak fries, perhaps most notably consumed at the establishment Red Robin. You get those bottomless steak fries where you can just fill them up, keep them coming, keep them coming. Where do you go on steak fries? Because that's another one that can get a little bit soggy, almost too potato-y sometimes. But considering my personal preferences, there's no such thing as too potato-y. So you're not going to get a very crispy steak fry or something like that, but I think it's a delicious preparation of the French fry once again. Now here we have fresh cut fries. Fresh cut fries. And there is a huge difference in a fresh cut fry versus these other fry varieties. You might say, well, Nick, does that mean it's cut very thin or it's cut very thick? No, you know what I'm talking about with a fresh cut fry. There's a difference between something that comes out of the freezer and something where they're slicing the potato, throwing it in the fryer or in the oven, and you still sort of have the skin of the potato still on there because you're trying to churn them out quick and you don't have time necessarily to peel every single potato. The fresh cut fries, once again, you can't beat fresh. Doesn't matter what you're eating. And the fresh cut fries, to me, are my favorite and most preferred style of fry preparation because you can make them at home, you get them at a good restaurant that knows how to do them right. It's going to be an elite French fry experience. Fresh cut fries are an elite side. I don't care if you're trying to eat fancy, trying to eat healthy, or just making a quick stop. If you have the chance to get fresh cut fries, I can't pass it up. I know I can't. I don't know about you. I absolutely cannot pass up fresh fries, fresh cut fries, whenever I see them on the menu. Now we have sweet potato fries, so technically a derivative of the yam family, but sweet potato fries sort of started to come on the rise in the 2000s a little bit there. They weren't necessarily a culinary staple of generations past, but sweet potato fries, they're delicious, and they certainly have a little bit of a different nutritional value in addition to a different kind of taste than regular potatoes. I know a lot of people maintain that sweet potato fries are actually healthier than other French fries, but if you're chopping them up, throwing them in a fryer and putting a bunch of salt on them, it's not going to be great for you either way. I also see sweet potato fries sometimes consumed not just with ketchup, but sort of a cinnamon or marshmallow, a melted marshmallow dipping sauce on the side. Personally, I'm going to pass on the marshmallow dipping sauce, but still sweet potato fries are a delicious side option, a very good substitute when available on a menu for just regular fries. They're not going to be fresh cut potato fries for me, but sweet potato fries certainly belong in the delicious category. I said we were running the potato gauntlet, folks, and I am not going to hold back at all. We still have tons of more potatoes to talk about here, and for that matter, more French fries. Waffle fries! Waffle fries! You all know waffle fries, perhaps from Chick-fil-A, the fast food restaurant. Not a lot of big-time restaurants really commit to the waffle fry. I'm not sure if that's the difficulty of the cut, a little bit more time and commitment, a little extra little tender loving care needs to go into actually preparing them or not. But where do they belong on our list of best dinner sides? We have one set of fries up in Elite. We have 3 sets of fries in Delicious. Because waffle fries aren't necessarily widely available, do I dock them points for that too? That there's not necessarily a wide array of waffle fries to actually choose from in the world? No, they're also delicious. Let's not play around, ladies and gentlemen. Waffle fries are delicious. They're not quite elite for me, but they're definitely not significantly better or significantly worse than the other fries that we have on the board already. Are you sick of potatoes yet, ladies and gentlemen? I hope not, because I never get sick of eating potatoes. But instead of a French fry variety, we go with something that's a little bit different and unique and has become beloved in circles around the world as a result. The tater tot, these little golden potato nuggets in elementary school cafeterias, whether you're, having a little picnic or a cookout or something like that, always a good idea to have some tater tots around. However, I am not as high on tater tots as a lot of people. I'm going to prefer all of these sets of fries to tater tots to the point where I'm even going to drop them down into the middle tier. Still, definitely tasty. Are you kidding me? Tater tots? I'm not going to besmirch the good name of tater tots, but of the types of potato and fry varieties that we've seen so far, tater tots is the one that I get the least excited about. But once again, I will still eat them and pop them like crazy if they are right in front of me. I will not try and fool you or lead you astray on that. So from the French fries to tater tots to now, let's go back to the whole potato. Just a simple baked potato. A baked potato. Simple but effective. You can either go as simple as you want with just a little bit of butter. I've seen crazy machinations of loaded baked potatoes, whether you got sour cream, chives, bacon, cheese. Did I say cheese already? I'll say cheese again because people love to throw cheese on their baked potatoes. There's a lot of different directions you can go with the baked potato. I'm not a sour cream guy. I like a regular plain baked potato. Once again, I'm not going to turn down bacon or cheese by any stretch of the imagination, but the baked potato is a delicious side for me. I am showing my absolute bias in the early stages of the video here towards the potato family. Just look at what we have up here at the top. Now we have the baked sweet potato, the cousin of the baked potato, but this guy got a little bit more sweetness to him, a little bit of a different texture on a baked sweet potato versus a regular baked potato too. A little bit more soggy, a little bit mushy too, but just like the baked potato, you can dress it up however you want. Once again, you can throw some butter on there, throw some garnishes. Once again, cinnamon, brown sugar, very popular to top with your baked sweet potato. But sometimes when you do that, you get a little bit too sweet for my taste. So I'm going to put this down in tasty. The baked potato is definitely superior to the baked sweet potato in my eyes, whereas the sweet potato fry is on par with many other different kinds of French fry. You know what? Let's take a little break from potatoes. We still have more in the vault here, but we got to move on to a different food item. And now let's do baked beans. Baked beans. See these a lot at barbecue restaurants. Even certain steakhouses will throw some baked beans on the side. I like beans in a lot of dishes, things like that. I like beans in my burritos, obviously in chili, tacos, things of that nature, but just a straight up side of beans doesn't necessarily tickle my fancy. This is the first one that I'm considering putting down in the bottom 2 categories, baked beans. You know what? This is the first one I'm going to put straight up down in the bottom corner. Once again, I'll eat baked beans if they're an option. I'm not going to completely just ignore them or, diss them completely, but they're the true testament to I'd prefer something else. I'd prefer something else to baked beans as a side with my meal. And now we have Brussels sprouts, back towards the greens now. And Brussels sprouts, I feel like they get a bad rap. I feel like Brussels sprouts was sort of a go-to insult vegetable when you were a kid watching cartoons, Disney Channel or Nickelodeon or something like that, and threatening a child with Brussels sprouts was like, oh no! But you do a Brussels sprout right, and they are, without a doubt, delicious. Brussels sprouts are delicious. They might be my favorite of the green vegetables that you can get as a side. You can do them a bunch of different ways too. Once again, you see them cooked with a little balsamic oil, maybe some truffle oil, Parmesan cheese, things of that nature. Making a good Brussels sprout as a side or an appetizer has really become an art in recent years. I shouldn't say recent years. I mean, 2 decades now of people really trying to salvage the reputation of the Brussels sprout from previously being a threat to children to now an absolutely delicious side. Not quite elite, not putting it in the same level of a mashed potato or a fresh cut fry, but Brussels sprouts, whenever they're on the menu, Nick Hart is going to pounce. And now we have another green veggie, asparagus, another dish that I feel like gets thrown out sometimes as a threat to young kids that maybe they want some ice cream, you got to finish your asparagus first, or I'm not going to cook your favorite meal, I'm going to give you asparagus instead. But I don't have the same affinity for asparagus that I have for Brussels sprouts. Asparagus can be a little hit or miss for me. I like asparagus when it's just a tiny hair undercooked. It still has a little bit of crunch to it. Sometimes it can get a little bit overcooked, floppy, droopy, a little bit mushy, similarly to the baked sweet potato. I'm going to put asparagus and won't turn it down. Once again, when it's done right, I like it. Or I shouldn't even say done right. Done the way that I like it done. I can get on board with it, but there's not always a guarantee that the asparagus is going to come out that way to me. So asparagus is a won't turn it down dinner side in my eyes. And now we have the side salad. Much like a cup of soup, there's a billion different kinds of side salad that you could really get into, and a myriad of different dressing options and other accoutrement that you could throw in there, whether you want olives or no olives, or onions, no onions, tomato, no tomato. You get the picture. We've all seen what a side salad looks like before. And because of that, I'm throwing side salad in the middle, mostly because if you really want to have the best possible salad that you could have, you're probably going to get an actual salad off the menu. You know what I'm talking about? The salads that are already laid out for you, maybe a chef's preference or something that they know that they're doing really well. Just a side salad, you're usually just getting a mix of leafy greens with a couple croutons maybe thrown in and an Italian dressing, maybe a balsamic dressing. Yeah, I know you could do other things, but side salad is a very baseline side. But this is also where I'm going to give some points to being a pretty healthy alternative instead of getting a mountain of fries or something like that. Sometimes going simple and going with the side salad is the right call. You don't feel like you have to be rolled out of the restaurant or you're going to melt into your couch after having a side salad with your meal. And sometimes that's exactly what you need to still be mobile and active after an actual meal. So the side salad's one thing, whether you got some romaine, some iceberg, or some spring mix lettuce, but the seaweed salad might be a little bit off of a lot of people's radar here. It's not something that you see at a lot of restaurants. You got to go a little bit more in Chinese, Korean barbecue, Japanese sushi restaurants, things like that, to see the seaweed salad really become common. And a seaweed salad is grossly underrated because of the fact that it's not necessarily as widely available as many of these other sides that we have on the list, at least not here in the States. I'm going to throw the seaweed salad right in the middle. I like a good seaweed salad. If I see it on the menu and I really have a hankering for something light to have before a meal, a seaweed salad can absolutely do the trick as a very tasty, very yummy start to your meal before the main course comes. It's definitely not down in these bottom 2 tiers, but as much as I'm singing the praises of seaweed salad, come on, it's no baked potato. It's no sweet potato fries. And you know what? It's probably not even a rice. You know what? Rice might end up getting dropped down here. I know I was not very committed to rice being delicious at first. I'm going to leave it there for now. A lot of carbs up here in this delicious group as well. A lot of carbs overall in the delicious and elite. Oh boy. Now let's go with broccoli. She's chopping broccoli. She's chopping broccoli. And I'm putting broccoli and I'd prefer something else. I don't care if it's a raw broccoli, a roasted broccoli. I know it's healthy for you. I know I should be eating it more, but the fact of the matter is, you're giving me literally any of these other options that are above it right now, even asparagus, seaweed salad, side salad, green beans. I'm picking them all before I pick broccoli. And that's just the nature of the beast sometimes with broccoli. It's sort of the last resort side option. Now, if a restaurant was out of absolutely everything else and said, hey, buddy, we can only give you broccoli, I wouldn't be too upset about it. Sure, I would have preferred something else, but I'm not going to leave in a huff at all. In fact, they might be doing me a favor, making me eat a little bit healthier. But if they have 5 side options, broccoli's falling at number 5 probably. If they have 10 options of sides, it's probably going to be number 9 or number 10. It's not because broccoli's bad. It's just because I probably want to have something else instead. So sorry, broccoli. You've been chopped down to our bottom tier. I'd prefer something else. We got some shrimp. We got some shrimp, ladies and gentlemen. A little shrimp on a skewer. I know shrimp can maybe, once again, be an appetizer. You can get breaded popcorn shrimp, coconut shrimp, but you get the little shrimp as a skewer. You get the option in some places to get a shrimp or get a handful of shrimp on the side of your steak or chicken or your meal, whatever you're having. And shrimp is a delicious, tasty, delicious side. Is shrimp elite? Is shrimp elite? That is the question I must ask myself now. It is certainly above tasty. Shrimp is without a doubt delicious. But is it elite? Is shrimp as a side in the same tier as fresh cut fries and mashed potatoes? Sometimes maybe when you're getting shrimp as a side, you're not necessarily even having a seafood meal. I mentioned before you could get it with a steak or a big, well-seasoned chicken breast for that matter. Ooh, so it provide a little bit of a contrast, a little surf and turf, if you will. Oh, perhaps the versatility of shrimp puts it up in the elite tier, because you could have it on the side with a seafood dish. It could even be your seafood dish if you get a bunch of shrimp or put it in a pasta. I feel like I'm trying to talk myself into making shrimp elite. Shrimp is probably delicious. No, shrimp is elite. Shrimp is elite. If you get shrimp on the side of any meal, it's just a cherry on top of whatever else you're eating. And once again, because it's diverse, you could either have it with other seafood or you get that little surf and turf concoction going on. Shrimp is going to go up into elite because of its diversity and, of course, the way it tastes as well. Big seafood guy right here. Speaking of seafood, we now have hush puppies, perhaps most notable for being available as a side that you get at the seafood chain restaurant Long John Silver's. I know that was my first experience with hush puppies. A little southern delight. I know sometimes when we're on the road, we get to travel down south of the Mason-Dixon line a little bit. You see hush puppies a little bit more frequently on the menu. And if you have a chance to go down to the south and get some bona fide hush puppies, absolutely seize it. But I'd say across the board, hush puppies fall into tasty for me. There have been very few hush puppies that I had in my life that really made me, that sort of eye roll that you do whenever you go, oh, that is delicious. Once it goes past your lips, into your mouth. Oh, but there's been very few times that's happened to me with hush puppies. Have I ever not liked a hush puppy? Absolutely not. But it's above, won't turn it down for me. It falls into the tasty category, hush puppies. Now we have quinoa. Quinoa, which is often used as an alternative to rice. In fact, personally, I cook a lot of quinoa at home instead of having rice as a side sometimes. Quinoa, very similar to rice, becoming more and more widely consumed over the past 2 decades or so as well. And quinoa as well, a little bit different in its nutritional properties to rice, even though they're used in very similar fashion as a bed for your meal or just on the side of your meal. Quinoa, fewer carbohydrates and a little bit more protein than actual rice, and that's a big reason why I just prefer to make quinoa myself. Now, the difference isn't necessarily vast. You don't see me suddenly beefing up to 200 pounds of pure muscle because I decided to substitute quinoa for rice. But if I'm giving rice the delicious shout out, I'm giving quinoa the delicious shout out as well. I think it is a great side for the fact that, once again, it is light. You're never going to fill up on quinoa. And because of those little nutritional quirks to it, it makes it as a nice alternative to rice, a little way to change up the pace, and certainly among the healthier options in our elite and delicious tiers right here. So quinoa and rice, they're sticking around in the delicious tier for now. We'll see if I keep my opinion as such as we continue to go through these many dinner sides. Now we have applesauce. Applesauce. And I ate applesauce a lot when I was a kid. And as I mentioned before, a lot of these things are food items that I would have never even dreamed of possibly putting on my plate when I was a kid. I was very picky, but I've since grown out of that and started to try a lot more things. Applesauce has trended in the opposite direction for me. I have significantly less and less applesauce now. Whenever I have it, I guess it's a nice change of pace, but it's a bottom two-tier side for me at this juncture. Is it I'd prefer something else, or is applesauce something that I won't turn down? It's I'd prefer something else. Applesauce is an I'd prefer something else side, at least to me. So we've gone through 22 sides to this point, ladies and gentlemen, and we still have 20 sides remaining right now. And I'm sure the debate is raging on right now. If you disagree with my sides ranking so far, you know what? Go to the comments. Tell me where I got it wrong. Support me if you think I got it right. Furthermore, we always like to link out to the actual template for these tier maker tier lists, either in the description of the YouTube video or on social media. So you can actually make your own dinner sides tier list and put it together at least the way you think would be most appropriate. But these are my opening 22. We still have 20 left. Let's move on now to mac and cheese. Mac and cheese. You can get that, once again, as your meal, or you can just sort of get it on the side. Once again, very common at barbecue restaurants, gastropubs, things of that nature. And mac and cheese is, well, cheese itself is delicious. You throw in a little bit of mac, it's certainly not going to hurt the cause. Mac and cheese is something that a lot of people feel very strongly about. People love their mac and cheese, and as you start to dive into a little bit more gourmet mac and cheeses that are available on certain menus at certain restaurants, you can find some absolute gems. Certainly heavy, certainly stuff that you're going to be feeling maybe even a day later, depending on how much mac and cheese you decide to shovel into your maw on a given night. But once again, that's more in the meal category. Mac and cheese on the side is pretty traditional. Just the mac and just the cheese. And I think I might surprise a lot of people here. Middle tier, mac and cheese as a side. I know you can get creative and be absolutely stunningly, mouth-wateringly delicious as mac and cheese as the centerpiece of a meal. But as a side, I just don't really care for it all that much. I shouldn't say I don't care for it. It's still absolutely delicious, but it is very, very tasty. And I will not argue with anyone to the otherwise, but I think this might be one of the first ones. Mac and cheese and tater tots, two that are going to cause maybe a ruckus, perhaps, people thinking that these two in particular should be a little bit higher up on the list. But mac and cheese for me, as a side, we're talking strictly sides here, folks. It's middle tier. It's tasty. It's very tasty, but it's tasty. Now we have grilled zucchini. Grilled zucchini. Where do you belong on our tier list, friend? Another green, another healthy option. And you see a lot of people now getting the zoodles, where you get a noodle maker, but you actually are supposed to put vegetables like zucchini and squash in there as well, and actually make your pasta noodles out of vegetables. A nice little alternative there. But when you slap a slab of zucchini, long strip of zucchini on a grill, and get that nice little char, look at those markings on there. This is one of the first ones that is making me really, really hungry. Grilled zucchini. Tasty. It's another mid-tier one for me. I'm almost tempted to put it up in the delicious category right next to Brussels sprouts, because grilled zucchini can be so, so good, but it's also similar to asparagus, where if you're not exactly adept, if you're not exactly deft at making your grilled zucchini, you're not experienced in it perhaps, it can get a little bit soggy and mushy, and that texture doesn't necessarily work with me. You get it, well, once again, that charring right there, and It's going to be in the middle tier. I'm going to split the difference. I am tempted to put it up in delicious, but grilled zucchini is going to fall under tasty for me. Okay, now we have cauliflower mash. Cauliflower, I think, is great when you sort of mix it in with other sides or other appetizers. If you can have a little grilled vegetable medley and there's a little cauliflower in there, no problem with that. I've seen restaurants do buffalo cauliflower bites, almost like boneless wings, but instead it's a fried cauliflower. I see that as an appetizer, not necessarily a side, and that is absolutely delectable. But the cauliflower mash is going down and won't turn it down. And I will explain my reasoning why right now. Cauliflower overall, I'm not a gigantic fan of it, even though there are some different ways you can prepare it and make it very, very good. But cauliflower mash is an imposter. It is a liar. It is an imposter. It is a liar. Cauliflower mash will sometimes hoodwink you into thinking that actually the elite mashed potato is on the table. If you're going through a buffet or something like that, or you have sort of a potluck and someone brings some cauliflower mash, you think it's mashed potatoes, only to find out that it's cauliflower mash. Now, if you know it's going to be cauliflower mash, it can be good. It goes into the won't turn it down category for me, well above I'd prefer something else. But the fact that you can be fooled, tricked, bamboozled by cauliflower mash really brings it down because, well, if given the option between cauliflower mash and mashed potatoes, I'm taking mashed potatoes 8 days a week. Simple as that. So cauliflower mash goes down and won't turn it down. Let's now move on to some more carbohydrates in the form of, well, really some of everyone's favorite way to consume their carbs, and that is bread. And now we're going to be talking about rolls, talking about those fresh baked rolls. And I know sometimes they'll bring you bread or they'll bring you rolls at the start of your meal at the restaurant, complimentary, but they can also come as a side, which is why I'm keeping them in the qualifying parameters here for this particular tier list. And rolls, well, I've sang the praises before of certain items on this list, on these rankings, for their potential diversity. And rolls, for a lot of people, they're simply thought as a one-trick pony, but they actually have a little bit of diversity if you're willing to get creative with your use of your rolls. What you can do with your rolls is, of course, you could just pick them up, butter them up, whatever you want to do, and just scarf them down as quickly as you can. Hey, I'm not going to call you out on that. I think that's a very viable strategy. In fact, I've done that many a time before as well. But as you get older and you get a little bit more experienced, a little bit more a bit of a grizzled vet, you can take those rolls that they give you on the side of your meal, take a knife, cut them in half. Now you can start making sandwiches. You can start making little sliders with your meal. Sliders weren't on the menu, but guess what? Now they are, because you got creative with your rolls and how you can sort of implement them amidst the rest of your meal right there. So because of rolls diversity and ultimately their high-end factor in terms of taste, because who doesn't like a good batch of rolls, they are going to go in delicious. I'm not going to quite put them in elite. I think you'll see where I'm going in a little bit here, folks. But you know what? I think this is also the moment where I need to make a shift. I need to make a shift. I've teased it before. I considered it a moment ago. But you know what? Rice, you're coming down to tasty. Quinoa, you're coming down to tasty. You two are paired. You are linked for the rest of your lives, unfortunately, or at least for the sake of this tier list. I can't give one of you a significant leg up on the other, at least to keep you in two separate tiers. Basically twins together, rice and quinoa, but I'm moving them down to tasty. Delicious was getting a little too crowded, and the fact of the matter is the more the delicious tier started to take shape, I couldn't keep it in the same company as rolls, waffle fries, steak fries, crinkle cut fries. I will stand by Brussels sprouts as a delicious side option. I will not budge on that at all, but rice and quinoa, they're getting shifted. They're moving down. Now we have Buttermilk Biscuits. Very, very different than just the traditional roll. You get a buttermilk biscuit on the side, and once again, you have options here. You could take it in one big bite, or you could start to peel across the flakes and really savor every single layer in that biscuit, or cut it in half, make a little sandwich for yourself as well. Buttermilk biscuits, great for dipping, great for just eating on their own, great for making little sandwiches, little sliders out of them. Buttermilk biscuits are elite. Buttermilk biscuits are superior to that of the plain roll. And as much as I love rolls, do not get me wrong, I love rolls. Buttermilk biscuits are truly elite. They are some of the best that you can get with your meal, whether it's breakfast time, whether it's lunchtime, whether it's dinner, whether you want a midnight snack. If you want to fire up some buttermilk biscuits, sign me up. Shoot me a text. I'm going to be right there with you. Love them. And while we're still on the subject of these bread categories, let's go on to cornbread. Cornbread, another traditional Southern delicacy. I'm a big fan of barbecue, and I will always get cornbread as a side if it is an option at a barbecue restaurant. I'll take that well over baked beans, any sort of veggies, or even mac and cheese. I gotta have my cornbread. But is it elite, or is it just delicious? Here's the thing with cornbread. This is another instance of a food that, when done right, is flawless, one of the most delicious things that you will ever consume in your entire life. If it's done wrong, it becomes dry, it creates a lot of crumbs, and you sit there afterwards going, you know what, I've had better cornbread. If you do cornbread right, it is elite. But there's such a spectrum of cornbread execution that it's going to keep it just down in delicious for me. The fact of the matter is, even if you get some bad cornbread, you're still probably going to like it. So it's staying in delicious pour moi, but it's not elite. Buttermilk biscuits is the best of the best when you're talking about your possible bread sides, or at least that we've seen so far. Now we have garlic bread coming into the mix as well. Once again, another one of these bread options that could come out early, come out first, complimentary. Depending on what restaurant you go to, you can just bake it in the oven at home. And a fresh homemade batch of garlic bread can be absolutely divine. But is it buttermilk biscuits good? Is garlic bread fresh cut fries good? Is garlic bread mashed potatoes good? That's a negative, Ghost Rider. Garlic bread is absolutely delicious, though. There's no shame in falling down into this second tier. Look at the company that you keep if you're garlic bread. You're right here with many different kinds of fries, the baked potato, Brussels sprouts, and your bread brethren in rolls and cornbread. But you're not a buttermilk biscuit, buddy. Sorry. Hate to say it. Hate to do that to you, but garlic bread is a delicious, delicious side option. Away from the carbohydrates and now on to the carrots, back into the veggies category here. You can prepare carrots a number of different ways. They can be roasted, even drizzled in honey. They can be cooked in a stew, or you could just eat them absolutely raw. No matter how carrots are prepared, though, they're not in these categories for me. No, carrots is not elite. Carrots are not delicious. They're not crinkle cut fries. They're not waffle fries. Are they tasty? Are they here with seaweed salad? Are they here with grilled zucchini? Are they here with green beans? No, I think these are as good as vegetables get, with the grilled zucchini and the green beans and the side salad, seaweed salad. Now, does carrots belong and won't turn it down right next to asparagus, or does it join the I'd prefer something else? You know what? I'm going to give carrots credit as a snack. Maybe you can even dip it in some dressing, have it with some hummus. But if you're talking about it as a side to your dinner meal, I'd prefer something else. Being totally honest here, carrots are an I'd prefer something else dinner side. You could do them so many other different ways. Or once again, as a snack, just grabbing a carrot or maybe some celery or something like that. Perhaps an underrated snack option, healthy alternative to the saltier sweet choices that you're going with normally when you're sitting on the couch watching Netflix, binging Hulu, whatever your choice is. But as a dinner side, I'm going to put carrots down in that bottom tier. Doesn't get the job done for me. Well, now we have corn. You get a little bowl or a cup of corn. I've seen spicy corn, cream corn, southern corn, or just regular corn. You can also do corn on the cob as well. That's not one of our options, though. Let me ask you this, folks. Those of you watching at home, is there a difference between corn that has already been plucked from the cob or eating the corn on the cob itself? Is it all just corn? Is it all the same? Or does having it on the cob add to the experience, add to the actual enjoyment of the meal, or even detract for it if you're someone who prefers the corn all gathered together in one secure location, one little bowl like that? I don't know. Debate amongst yourselves. Is there that big of a difference? I'll tell you what, though. Corn is going for won't turn it down. I like corn. I enjoy corn. But ultimately, there are a lot of choices I'm going to make before I ultimately decide on corn. So it goes down in that asparagus, cauliflower mash group, the won't turn it down tier, the least crowded of our tiers so far. We still have 11 different side options to go. So let's pick up the pace here, folks. I'm going to try and keep it going now with butternut squash. Butternut squash. Squash is also a great thing to do grilled, just like grilled zucchini. You slice it out like that, get it all thin, and you prepare it right. Can't pass on the squash. But the butternut squash has become another very diverse side option. You can prepare it in a number of different ways, a little puree, a mash, or you can just chop it up and roast it like that. Butternut squash, though, is going to go once again in the won't turn it down category. It is good. There's a time and a place for butternut squash, but all of the many other items that we've seen so far, they resonate with me. They speak to me a little bit more than butternut squash. And this is also the time I want to mention, everything that we've talked about here, I'm going to eat. There is no category for disgusting, at least in my book. I might have to make one depending on what else pops up down the line here, but all 5 of these tiers, I'm going to eat it. I'm absolutely going to eat it. And butternut squash, I will eat it in droves. It's just the fact of the matter is we've got double-digit side options that I'm choosing well above butternut squash. Now we have egg rolls. Egg rolls. You get them on the side with your Chinese takeout, eating in at a Chinese restaurant. You get different kinds of egg rolls. You can go veggie, pork. I've seen cheesesteak style egg rolls. They're getting creative with the egg roll format, ladies and gentlemen. And egg rolls, for me, they're good. They can be good. I'm just going to put them in the middle. Tasty egg rolls. They're not a game breaker with the meal itself. If I somehow got my takeout order and there weren't egg rolls in the box, I'd probably be upset about it for approximately 30 seconds and then get over it. But then when I'm actually eating it, I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it too. So egg rolls fall into tasty for me. And keeping sort of with that theme, that same sort of a culinary culture, now we have dumplings. Could be an appetizer, could be a side. You just float 2 or 3 dumplings on the side of your meal, and you are cruising, ladies and gentlemen. To me, the dumplings, although often linked to egg rolls, just simply because they come from similar cultural backgrounds, they are delicious. Dumplings are superior to egg rolls. Put me on the record on that one, folks. Dumplings are superior to egg rolls, and they belong in the delicious tier of our dinner sides tier list. Still cruising along. You know what? I didn't get through all the potatoes before, so let's go back to the potato category now with roasted red potatoes. You know what I'm talking about here. These sliced and diced red potatoes where you still got the skin on them. They always have a little bit of seasoning. Salty, delicious, maybe some butter or some oil in there too. To me, the roasted red potato may be one of the more underappreciated side options. They are widely available at many different restaurants of varying different star values, 2-star, 5-star, doesn't matter where you eat. Roasted red potatoes might find their way onto the menu. In fact, there's a good chance that they do, and whenever they are on the menu, I get pretty excited about it. Roasted red potatoes, folks? They are elites. That is an elite side, ladies and gentlemen. The roasted red potato is superior to the preparation of the baked potato. It is even better than many different kinds of fries. It is right in line with fresh cut fries and mashed potatoes. I might perhaps prefer these two to a roasted red potato if you put a gun to my head, but the roasted red potato medley that you get here is truly an elite side. More potatoes for you. Now we have chips, just very simply a side of chips that you might get with a sandwich or something like that. Some quick eats, quick bites. Get it with your dinner. A side of potato chips. Where do chips belong? Once again, this is another thing that you can do in a number of different ways. Salt and vinegar, sea salt and cracked pepper. What else? Barbecue is a frequent choice. I've seen jalapeno chips. Our friends north of the border know all about ketchup chips and all dressed chips up in Canada, starting to make their way down to the States too as well. Hard to find ketchup chips, but the all dressed making their way to the US of A. But where do chips belong on our ultimate sides list? You know what? Chips are tasty. Or they won't turn it down. I'm down on chips right now, folks. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I've talked about so much food at this point that merely potato chips feels uninspired or just sort of, boring, generic. But they're tasty. I mean, chips are good. Just a side of chips. It's simple. You're going to have to use your fingers a little bit. They're finger food. You're not going to eat them with a fork and a knife, obviously. So you're going to have to get your hands dirty a little bit. But the rewards are typically very tasty. So potato chips go into that middle tier, tasty. Now we have shoestring fries, another of the fry variety, folks. Where do shoestring fries go? These very thin and long style French fries that you see a lot at McDonald's. Maybe you buy a pack of Ore-Ida, throw them in the fridge, and then break them out. And here's the thing with shoestring fries. They're so skinny, they're so thin, they don't feel as heavy, perhaps, as some of these thicker fry styles. And you can start eating them, and they can get out of hand pretty quickly. You don't realize how many you've eaten until it's too late. Shoestring fries, are they elite? They typically do taste delicious. But sometimes if you overcook a shoestring fry, you sort of get these brown bricks, overly crunchy, not even that good kind of crunchy where you got the soft potato center where it completely dies down as a result. It's a delicate balance trying to find the right way to perform a shoestring fry, but they're going to go in delicious for me along with crinkle cut fries, steak fries, sweet potato fries, and waffle fries. Not quite on the same level as fresh cut fries, but shoestring fries, hey, let's face it. I mean, I feel like I'm making, excuses for everybody that doesn't end up in elite at this point. Delicious is a very good place to be if you're shoestring fries, and they should be very happy that they made it into that tier. All right, one time for your mind, one time. What is next? What is new? Let's go to potato. Potatoes au gratin, or scallop potatoes, very similar, though not completely identical. Potatoes au gratin and scallop potatoes typically fall into the same boat here, and I have been all over the potatoes throughout this entire list. Mashed potatoes, French fries, tater tots. Potatoes are a great way to go. But the potatoes au gratin, for whatever reason, it's cheesy overload for me. It almost bogs down the potato. Usually you think you get two great things, it would work well. Cheese, love it. Potatoes, adore it. Put them together, what do you got? You got something that I'm not all that crazy about. It's a bottom two-tier side for me. The scallop potatoes in particular get a little bit too creamy, almost too milky, and sometimes you can get too cheesy too. Like I said, you get the overwhelming cheese taste in there, and it really it doesn't work, at least in my opinion. Maybe you're someone out there that loves going overload on the cheese. Potatoes au gratin, I've rarely seen it done in a fashion that at least I have been absolutely cuckoo bananas about. Where do you go? Where do you belong? Where do you belong? We belong. You belong. In won't turn it down. They're still potatoes, so they're still good. I'm definitely going to eat them, but they are my least favorites of the potato variety, or at least the least favorite that we've seen so far. We have one more potato dish left, and that belongs to potato salad. Potato salad. Once again, common at picnics, potlucks. Bring it in, slap it on your plate, have it on the side with your burger or dog or whatever else you're enjoying that given day. This is an I'd prefer something else. This is an I'd prefer something else. because potato salad, I'm not a mayonnaise guy, and you can't make potato salad without mayonnaise, without sour cream, some sort of creamy base like that. It's not my cup of tea. Far from Nick Hart's cup of tea when it comes to potato salad. It is what could have been a lost opportunity to have delicious potatoes. You could have had roasted red potatoes. You could have made mashed potatoes. You could have even had potatoes au gratin, but instead you made a potato salad. And to me, I definitely prefer something else. It's on the table. I'll chow down on it, but I'd be thinking about the other ways the potato could have possibly been applied in this instance to make it more enjoyable, not just for me, but for so potato salad is a bottom tier, I'd prefer something else category. Now we have pasta salad. So we go from potato salad to pasta salad. Similarly to potato salad, I'm not big crazy on pasta salad, especially if it's made with a mayo or a creamy sort of dressing mixed in there. But I've also seen pasta salad done with dressings, vinegars, oils, things like that. And I think you get a nice little balance in here too with the veggies in addition to the pasta noodles, tomatoes in there often in a potato or a pasta salad as well. It's a won't turn it down side for me. Or is it I'd prefer something else? It's a won't turn it down because potato salad, you don't see it with the vinegar and the oil, basically. Pasta salad, much like a coleslaw. You can do it mayo style, or you can do it with the vinegar oil. I prefer a vinegar oil, a much lighter format of the same dish, and it becomes a better side for me as a result when prepared in that fashion. So pasta salad elevates a little bit up to won't turn it down, but not exactly crazy about it. Maybe it is, and I'd prefer something else. Pasta salad is probably my least favorite of the won't turn it downs that we've done so far. Folks, we're in the home stretch. We have two food items remaining, and with two left, we'll now do couscous. The dish so nice, they named it twice. Couscous, derivative from, I always want to say Mediterranean, but it didn't really cross the sea. North Africa, North African areas, they love their couscous. And I was really only introduced to couscous just a handful of years ago. Really, it's a new dish to me overall, and I like it. I like couscous. Once again, it's one of those things that I'd probably pick something else over, but I've yet to have a couscous where I went like, that wasn't very good. It is typically very yummy and also typically pretty tasty. Pretty tasty. So couscous is going down into our middle tasty tier here, along with seaweed salad, hush puppies, grilled zucchini, rice and quinoa. I guess that's what couscous is most similar to, rice and quinoa, I suppose, in that family right there. So couscous is sliding in right next to those guys in the tasty category. And with just one guy left, I got to hit pause because we have filled up the tasty category. We're now creeping off the screen. Give me 1 second, folks. All right, now we have fixed our screen grab in such a fashion that now we can see the whole board. Nothing's getting cut off in the I'd prefer something else category, giving us one side remaining, and it is cup of chili. Cup of chili, and depending on where you go in the world, I feel like the enjoyment of a cup of chili varies by region. There are people that go crazy for their chili. There are other people that really don't like chili that much at all. But I'm the one who's making the tier list, folks. I make the rules. I make the decisions. What do I think about having a cup of chili as a side? It is a won't turn it down. And the only thing that is keeping a cup of chili out of I'd prefer something else is a recent batch of chili that I had. Most of my life, chili has ranged from outright bad to, I guess it was okay, until Chef Steve Shapper, the culinary expert and team chef for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins in the practice facility of the Toyota Sportsplex, his chili is no joke, folks. Oh boy, I was told that it was good. I'm sure when I thought, you know what, okay, buddy, I'm sure your chili's pretty good. Everything you make is delicious. But hey, you know what? It's chili. I'm not a big fan. And then I had a cup of this madness. And then I had 2 cups of this madness. And then every time I know Chef Steve is making that famous chili, I can't wait. It takes up my entire day. So specifically because of Chef Steve and his unbelievable chili, I'm keeping cup of chili out of the bottom tier. But if you would ask me maybe 2 years ago, where do I put chili? It may have actually created its own bottom tier underneath baked beans, broccoli, applesauce, carrots, potato salad. I had to live in Ohio for 4 years when I was going to college and hear people rave about Skyline chili, that absolutely disgusting slop that gets passed on as a food item. Oof. Chili can be bad, folks. I haven't had a lot of good chili, but the good chili that I have had, and in very recent times too, so a little bit of recency bias kicking in here, but that chili has been divine. Angelic chili, to put it in the won't turn it down category overall. I guess it has given me a newfound faith in chili, that there's hope for chili out there. So I won't turn it down. But normally I'd turn it down. But now, new lease on life for chili. But the conclusion of our tier list video for dinner sides. We went through a lot of different food items here, folks, and I'm sure you got riled up at some point with one of your favorite food items that I ranked too low, or gave a little fist pump to yourself while you were watching the video, because you know what? He absolutely got that right. But whatever you feel, put it down in the comments down below, or you can make your own tier maker tier list of all of these dinner sides. Put them in what you believe to be the appropriate order. But very quickly, I'm going to run down our list of dinner sides very quickly. Let's change it up. I usually go descending order. Let's do ascending order for posterity's sake of this video. The I'd prefer something else category, I have baked beans, broccoli, applesauce, carrots, and potato salad. At the end of the day, I'm still going to eat it, but I'd prefer something else, namely everything else that we have on this tier list. Moving up to the fourth tier, won't turn it down, asparagus, cauliflower mash, corn, butternut squash, potatoes au gratin or scalloped potatoes, pasta salad, or a cup of chili. In our middle tier, tasty. These are all dinner sides that I enjoy very greatly, just not as much as the guys in the top two tiers. So looking at them in the middle may feel like I did them dirty, but the fact of the matter is I think all of these things are very, very good. I won't pass on them at all. Green beans, cup of soup, tater tots, mac and cheese, baked sweet potato, side salad, seaweed salad, chips, hush puppies, grilled zucchini, rice, quinoa, couscous, and egg rolls. And now we move up to the delicious tier where things really, really get your mouth watering. A bunch of different fries and potato varieties in here. Crinkle cut fries, steak fries, sweet potato fries, waffle fries, baked potato, Brussels sprouts, rolls, cornbread, shoestring fries, garlic bread, and dumplings. And lastly, we had 5 of our sides end up in the elite tier, and these truly are the best of the best. If you get them with your meal, well, congratulations to you, because you're about to have a great night, folks. Mashed potatoes, fresh cut fries, shrimp, buttermilk biscuits, and roasted red potatoes. That is my dinner sides tier list, ladies and gentlemen. Already gave you the guidelines. You're welcome to disagree with me in the comments. You're welcome to make your own tier maker tier list. But in the meantime, hey, maybe this inspired you to make something new for dinner, or grab something new whenever you place your takeout order. Make sure we're still staying at home, sheltering in place. We'll all get through this together by staying at home apart. Sounds like a paradox, but you know what? We're going to get through this, ladies and gentlemen. Weird times right now, but hope you're enjoying these tier maker tier lists that I've been putting out so far. It's definitely keeping my mind occupied and keeping the debate alive online. Keep an eye out. We might have a few more tier lists to come as well, ladies and gentlemen. But until next time, this is Nick Hart signing off, folks. Don't forget, let's go Pens.